So go ahead quickly.
Michelle Joffrey, I'm an LES parent. I have 3 children in the school, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, and 5th. And what I want to come back to is that date, that December 19th date. Please explain to me, and I know the rest of us, why are we stuck on that date? Why can't we defer and make that decision later? I understand it's a New York State thing, but what happens if we don't make any decision by that day?
The only reason that we established that timeline is so that if the board wanted to take action in 14-15, we would have provided the 6 months notice. We would have filed the educational impact statement with the board 6 months before, it would be more like 7 or 8 months before closing a school. So if we don't have this discussion and create the opportunity to file in December, then there is no possible way to consider closing Lewisboro in 14-15. If we have this discussion, we leave the door open that the board can file an educational impact statement in December, which enables the board to keep the option of closing. It's also possible that the board has the discussion in December and says, we would like to file this educational impact statement, but we think we want to close in 15-16, in which case the educational impact statement would not be filed in December or with this board. The educational impact statement would then be delivered to the new board in July as probably the first order of business, and that board, which would contain potentially the same board members, potentially new board members, that board would have the opportunity to file the educational impact statement. So it's doing the due diligence to keep the option of having the opportunity to close in 14-15, but it doesn't mean that the board has to do that or will do that. If we don't have the conversation, then it's impossible to do it in 14-15.
I just feel that yes, it does, but I just feel like that pressure has been put on all of us, and that everybody's cringing that you're going to make a decision by December 19th without all of the information that you need. There seems to me there have been a lot of questions, good questions brought up tonight that still need to be researched.
You're correct, and I do want to not, anyone who knows me knows that I'm honest to a fault. But there is one thing I do want to talk about, which is that last year in our school budget, our teachers' retirement system mandatory contribution to the teachers' retirement system was over our tax cap allotment. So if you understand that, that means that every single year we are starting at an incredible deficit to be able to deliver adequate education to your kids. We didn't just throw this idea out there because we felt like closing school. We want to do the best for your students, keep the costs away from the classroom. So, keep the education in the classroom, the costs away from the students. That's what I'm trying to say. I'm getting a little tired. But so that is really important. Our mandatory, we cannot do anything else. The state makes us do it. We had to give that money to the teachers' retirement system. It was over our tax cap allotment. So every year we're at a giant deficit. So it is, in my mind, it is a fiscal decision, impacts emotionally children, but ultimately will be better for our students in the long run. That is, how I feel about it long term. We're also going to be educating for 100 years, let's hope. So, it's really a long-term planning process.
But to make that decision for 2014 is not educationally sound, in my opinion.
I hear you, and it may end up being that opinion for the 7 board members when we get the educational impact statement that we write. You see that when we file with the board, the 7 of us will deliberate ad nauseum, and we will decide what we decide, because the rest of the board members are not on this committee. So they will get full disclosure when we file. So anyway, let's keep it going. Sorry.
One last question before we move on, because nobody has brought this up, but I know we did negotiate a new health plan for our teachers, and we saved a significant amount of money there. I don't know what the
January 1st of 2014.
So what is being done with that savings?
You saw how I kind of bragged before about we're going to do this, we're going to do that. That's what we're going to do. We're finding money every day. This, on record, guys, we are in good financial shape. Tremendous financial shape.
don't close our school.
I'm not closing the school because I need the money. We would close this building because we have an opportunity to be efficient. If this community, every school district gets the schools that they want, what you're doing is you're advocating. You're practicing democracy right now. You have elected officials that are listening to what you're saying, and they're going to do it more than once. If you come in the will of this community, in their representation, after looking through all this, says, you know what, maybe it's not worth it. Maybe we want to have these buildings, but it would be irresponsible for us to not look at this pattern, not recognize that it is very real, and the other potential loss opportunities on that side. This is a deep and difficult exercise which this community must go through. I did not come in here tonight and told you that I'm closing Lewisboro next fall. I didn't do it. What I'm going to tell you, when I'm certain about something, I tell you. We're going to do a zero budget, and we're going to get all-day kindergarten next fall. We have an opportunity to look at, if not fall, this is going to be waiting for us again at 15, and the numbers are going to be even more clear. And we can continue to. And I'm just going to tell you.
But you have said before at plenty of our meetings, at board meetings, that if we are going to do this, it's going to be thoughtful. It's going to be a process that takes a lot of time. And you've even color-coded it with, don't quote me on the colors, but, 2014 would be yellow, 2015 orange, and 2016 red.
All right.
So I want to see that thoughtfulness, that time put into all of this, and not make a rush
decision. Exactly what you're saying here. I am not advocating and telling you we have to do this fall for it. You're exactly right. The least certain scenario, which I don't know all the numbers on it, is this fall. I become very more confident, very more certain. You're going to hear me talking very boldly about a closure in 15, and I'll be up here exasperated, probably pulling my hair out if you're not looking at something as deeply seriously in 16. And if this community still says we don't want to close schools in 16, then I don't want to hear another word about taxes, and I don't want to hear another word about budgets or other program losses. So, we'll come over here.